You ready, Chris?
You ready, Ben?
Let's get it.
Man, let's get it, man. Welcome to the Follow Then Lead podcast. What's up, good peoples? This is the Follow Then Lead podcast coming to you guys yet again with our special guest, Tamarah Davis. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing all right. Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you.
Look, I love every guest that come on this show, but it does something special to me when someone comes from out of town and come through and bless us. Where you from again? Tell the people where you from.
Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Buckeye State.
Nice. I like the Buckeyes. I like their football team.
What school do you go to?
Well, I went to Hampton University. Shout out to the Pirates, but I definitely support the Ohio State Buckeyes.
All right.
Nice, yep. I get down with them, yo.
Yeah.
Z.
I was a Michigan fan as a kid.
Oh, yeah. Oh, say that so, yo.
No.
Oh,
I
man.
might have to leave the house. This might not work out.
Yo, man. They all right. Michigan,
I mean, this
all
was when I was young. This was when
right. Oh, so you didn't know no
this
better.
was when they were good.
I don't never remember them being good.
Neither do I.
Not like as good as Ohio State, but I don't know why.
They was nice with it. They was all
I
right.
got you.
Yeah.
They did have a time when they were okay.
Yeah, it was
They
a
were
couple
pretty
years
decent.
stint.
Yeah.
All right.
They never really won, but
Yeah. They was all right.
I can't tell you why I liked them. Anyway,
Yeah.
Maybe the colors. You like the colors?
maybe it was the colors.
Could be that. So, yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, there's a lot there. What would you like to know particularly?
First thing that come to mind.
Oh, man. Wow, that's a loaded question. Well, if you ask people about me or to describe me, I've been described once as a complex simplicity, and I remembered that. There's a lot of layers. I am a person who loves life, loves music, loves people, loves teaching, loves things that are positive, loves God, tries my best to do my best all the time. It's a lot of layers there.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I'm loving the layers.
It's a lot of layers.
Yeah. Positivity, teaching, music. Hey, man, I could kick it with you
Lots
any day
of
of the week.
layers.
That's all right right
Yeah.
there.
How you doing today?
You know what? To be completely honest, I'm tired,
Yeah.
but I'm okay.
There we go.
I drove from Columbus, Ohio to Buffalo, New York Friday. My cousin turned 40, so I celebrated that. And then Monday, I left Buffalo and got here yesterday. So I drove. Yes, but I love to drive. But I mean,
Yeah.
it wears and weighs on you once you actually sit down and stop. So, yeah.
I know all about that life.
Yeah.
That sounds tiring.
Yeah.
I don't even like driving. Anything past New York, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I won't do it.
You ain't feeling it.
No.
Yeah. I mean,
I used to drive to DC a lot,
Okay.
so it was
That's
like 6
what did
to
it.
8 hours. And yeah,
That's probably
after
what did
I
it.
started getting older, I was like, never.
Never
more?
again.
No,
Yo.
I'm a fly.
I love driving. I don't know. Just me and the road and the music. It's therapeutic.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I have my moments. I can dig that. I like driving and doing the road trips and everything, sightseeing. Yeah, it definitely does something to you. And then when you're spiritual, when you're connected to God too, it's that talk. And I take my road. Well, shout out to my wife. She is in the building.
Hey.
When I take my road trips with my wife, it's just something dope, bro. It's banging. It's banging. Road trips is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, something about the process of flying, I like just to get my stuff ready, getting to the airport, getting on the plane, and the going up and coming. Yeah, just the whole process of flying, I really enjoy it.
Now, do you pack in advance or are you a last minute packer?
Yeah, I mean, I don't need much.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw it all in the night before. I'm good.
Okay.
I think that's.
I don't really wear a lot. If
Yeah.
I'm going on a trip, I want a couple pairs of jeans,
Yeah.
bunch of shirts, drawers,
Yeah.
socks.
You all set, bro.
Yeah,
A couple of shoes.
The shoes I'm wearing and another pair. That's it.
You good, bro. It's a dude thing. Hey, it got to be a God thing. I'm the same thing.
Yeah.
I can pack 2 or 3 hours before the flight getting ready to take off, and I'm straight, and I'm good.
And I probably already thought about it all week.
That's it. It's in your head,
Yeah,
so I know what I'm grabbing.
I already know what I'm
Oh,
grabbing.
man, there we go.
It's like going into the store.
Exactly.
This is the difference.
I know, bro.
I'm not
It
saying that
is.
all men and women are different,
It is, bro.
but yeah, it's like a God thing. I'll go in, I know what I want, and I'm out.
15, 20 minutes tops.
Yeah, I need to just.
But the sisters,
Yeah.
man, look, they live in the grocery
I don't
store.
want to miss what I could have. No.
It depends on the day, though. Sometimes I go in and get one item and go out, and sometimes I find things I wasn't even looking for.
Yeah.
Most times I find what I wasn't looking for, but Sometimes it just depends on the day.
And what's the time frame?
It depends on whatever's happening that day. I'm really much like a stickler for, like, you see I have my stuff written down and all of that kind of stuff. So if I got somewhere to be, but if I am kind of frolicking and have time, so it just depends.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Free
layers.
flowing.
Yeah, free flowing.
All right. So what was your childhood like?
Ooh. I was raised by my mother and grandmother. I have a sister who's 1 year younger than me. I have one who's 10 years younger than me, but we definitely did not grow up together. I was raised in the church. Grandma was a pastor. She was in the house. Was the first grandchild on one side, so lots of expectations were there. Mm-hmm. I would say it was a beautiful balance between strength and nurture. Mm-hmm. So my mother was definitely the strength. She was not a nurturer at all. She's not a nurturer. I mean, she loves in her way, but it's kind of strong. Yeah. And my grandmother, she stayed home. She was the pastor, and she was the one who, she would speak over our heads a lot. But now that I'm older, and may she rest, there was lots of wisdom that was being dropped every day in multiple lessons. So childhood, I was raised in a home of love. Dad was not there. He was around the corner, but he wasn't there. Mm. So it was one of those things. And that's something that still kind of sticks to today. Mm. Yeah, talk about manhood. One of the things, and it's interesting, because I lived in Boston a few years ago, maybe about 2009 to 2013. And I remember being in my apartment, talking to my mother, and I'm a person who values relationships. So when I reached out to my dad and he didn't reach back, that was the thing. So I was constantly trying to, Dad, look, maybe he'll be happy if he hears this. It was one of those things. I reached out to him. He didn't respond back. And I called Mom. I was like, Mom, when a man is out of place, everything else is out of place. Why am I, a grown woman, still reaching for certain stuff that Dad should have done? And so, yeah. But even with him, I guess, not being there, Mom and Grandma did the best they could. But, a woman can't fill that spot for a young girl. And so, yeah, good childhood. Mom grew up in church too, but she didn't have a lot of, I guess, freedom. Like, they couldn't go to the movies, they couldn't play sports. And she said, when I have my children, I'm going to let them, experience some things. So I'm glad that she did let my sister and I experience things, but there were some things that were definitely missing. So,
what were some of the things you experienced?
As far as
that your mom allowed you to experience?
Oh, being involved in everything in school, going to the movies, hanging out with friends.
Nice.
Yeah. So I definitely, my mother's mom, I never saw her wear pants a day in her life. Yeah, Mom was like, no, forget all that. My girls are going to be able to wear pants. They can put nail polish on, but we couldn't wear red nail polish until we got grown. It's certain little things, like she was trying to balance it out for us. But we got to experience being, teenagers and children and living and loving life. So I'm really, really, really grateful for that, because I think sometimes, what would have happened had I grew up how my mother grew up, so. Yeah.
That's dope. That's amazing. You said something very powerful a little whiles back. Basically, if the man isn't in order, the man's not in place, things will crumble, things will fall down. That holds true. There's some weight to that right there, and I agree. That's important, man. When men are in proper position, the community, family, church, business, whatever, you name it, everything seems to flow naturally and in order, and to its proper peak. So, yeah, we gotta continue to be mindful about that.
Yeah. Yep.
We were talking about that the other day at service. We were having a Father's Day conversation about manhood. Well, fathers, obviously.
Yeah.
But one thing that came up was I think Genesis 1:28. Where he was talking about be fruitful, multiply, and then have dominion.
Yep.
And then if the father's not there, the responsibility that comes with dominion is not there.
Yeah.
Because you're over everything, right? Like, you're supposed to care for all of it.
Yeah.
And now that it's not being cared for,
it's going to wither away.
Right. Or other things are going to happen. Negative things, obviously.
Basically, it's going to die off. Whatever it is,
Wow.
It's going to die off. It's going to be misguided. All of that. You can say, you name it.
It goes to like the power that men have in words, and how when men speak, like they were, Pastor was saying, like men are divinely gifted to speak life into things, into people, into like, when people talk to plants, they like, right? And so when we communicate, and when men speak to like who their children are, when they speak to their children, that's where they get their identity.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that moms can't give that, and so the mom is always like, man, like I gave you everything I can and it's not good enough, because you can't fulfill that. It's not your responsibility.
That's crazy how that is. And off the top of my head, I'm thinking about name giving at birth. You know what I mean? I'm curious, if a woman, who named you? Your mom or your dad?
My father.
Okay.
Let him tell it. He did.
All
Let my mom tell it. She did.
Okay,
But
cool.
I would
cool.
say my father for
All right,
sure.
cool. My pops named me too. I'm named after him, Christopher. So I'm just curious, like if a woman, your mom named you Benjamin, I'm curious, like the name Benjamin, would it still have that same identity or impact? If a woman named you Benjamin, would it still have that same impact if a man named you? I'm just curious. Same thing with me. If my mom named me Christopher instead of my dad naming me Christopher, what would the impact be? Would it still be the same, or would it be different?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's like what Ricky was saying, Pastor Rick was saying about the source of like the meaning behind, like why is she naming you that, or why is he naming you that? Like where's it coming from within them?
That's good.
So like the life, or is it death?
Yeah.
From inside.
Yeah.
Like what the scriptures talked about. Benjamin what was his mother's name again? Anyway, so she named him Benoni, and it was like son of my sorrow. And then his father said no, and he changed it to Benjamin because son of my right hand.
Yep.
And so it's like it's the source of like what are you naming? Where is it coming from?
I like that.
So I don't know if it matters whether it's Chris or not, but like what is
what's
the
the
heart
meaning behind
behind
it?
it?
What's the source behind it?
Yeah, because God's going to make sure your name is what your name should be. And so whether it's the source behind what you're being named, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Look, man, you got me thinking about Saul and Paul. God came in, and renamed them. Hey, no, that ain't your identity no more. Your name is, Paul now. You my man's now. So yeah, I can rock with that. So it's the source behind it. And then you said you touched on it. God gonna make sure you get your name, your proper name. So yeah, good stuff. Yeah.
So when it comes to identity, did you struggle with identity, not having like your father around, or just your home dynamic?
You know what? I'm going to be completely transparent. I did not know that I struggled with identity until I became a grown woman. I didn't know that. Mom was there. I was, in music, choir, band, doing all these things. And so I'm thinking everything is okay. You grow up, you start getting in relationships, starts coming to matters of the heart. I'm like, whoa, there's some stuff here. So I did not know that I struggled with identity until I started reaching for a part of my identity that I didn't know, which was my dad. And when he didn't reach back, that just, all kind of repercussions came with that. Yeah.
That's why. How old were you when you found out he stayed around the corner?
Ooh, okay. So I was in single digits. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but it's one of those things. I have a very photographic memory. So I was in the car with my mother and my sister, and we were riding down the street in our neighborhood. And we spent time with our dad off and on. I said, oh, there's Dad's house. My mother slammed on those brakes so hard and backed all the way up. And she said, which one is it? I said, it's that one.
Yeah.
So, like, that was, like, the first kind of idea in my mind, like, something's off here. We're spending time with our dad. Mom doesn't know where Dad lives. Like, so I had to be maybe 8 or 9 years old. Yeah.
So as a child, and you're saying these things and you're hearing them, it had to be like a sense of, confusion. Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Did you kind of like sort of understand it, or nothing?
Not at all. And in the capacity that I had at that time, I wasn't trying to understand it. I just knew that sometimes we spent time with Dad, and it was in that house, and we lived with mom. That was it. And dad's life was all church, like old school church, because he's a minister too. So I'm getting the PK from both sides. And he's a musician. So like that was his world. It's like, okay. So like my love for music comes from both sides. It's like, oh, my daddy plays the guitar. Like you're looking up at those sorts of things and being proud. But nothing to me replaces being present, spending time. No amount of money, no gifts, or like you can't buy that. Like children want to know that they matter. I think people want to know that they matter. Mm-hmm. So spending time and people just knowing that they're loved and valued, that you can't buy that. Yeah. Yeah.
So what influences did you have? First question is, what did you learn from your grandmother and your mom? Oh. That you learned when you were young, but also benefit you now?
Oh. Okay. That is loaded in a good way. I would not trade my childhood. It was a beautiful balance of strength and nurture. Mom was a strength, grandma was a nurturer. Mom taught us by example how to survive, my sister and I. So, and we talk about it often sometimes, like, if we had to choose which one we wanted from mom, the survival or the nurture, give me the survival, because God has given me the nurture. Like, I'm such a nurturer. I love. I'm in love. Oh, how can I help? What can I do? Mm-hmm. Like, that's divine. So thank you for that, God. But like that, and he gave me strength too. No, of course. But mom, that nurturing piece there, or that strength piece, she definitely taught us how to survive by example. She was consistent. She was grounded, and she still is very grounded. I can call my mother today and ask her what she thinks about something. Like, I'm looking for some advice. And it kind of gets on my nerves a little bit, but she always switches it back around. So, Tamarah, what do you think? It's not about, so she flips it back around, so where she's not answering me, but because I'm a talker too, and I process by talking things out. And she'll just let me go. And she'll just let me go. And I'm going to, Tamarah, you just answered your own question.
Nice.
But Mom, I want you to tell. I'm still kind of reaching for that nurturing piece. I'm like, I'm your firstborn child. And so, but I'll tell you this too. Now that I am it hit me when I was a freshman in college, because my mother's mother was not a nurturer either. She was strong. And so I think about, well, Mom, what's your story? How did you grow up? Because you're kind of giving what you have. And it allowed me to be a lot more forgiving and gracious with my mother. I'm telling you, when you start doing your own work, you can, be gracious with other people. And I was like, wow, before my mom is my mom, she's a woman. Before my dad is my father, he's a man. Yeah. And so I start thinking about their processes of development as I'm thinking about my own. And it's like, whoa, I wonder what things and what stories that I don't know that my parents haven't told me. Yeah. And I ask my mother sometimes, and I know that she's kind of, when you start getting too deep or too close or too nurturing, she kind of puts her hand up and, Tam, you're getting a little too close. She won't say it, but like her actions will. But
did she grow up military?
She did not grow up military. She grew up church. Well, know what?
Church,
yeah, church could be military. Yes,
definitely.
Old school church.
Old school church.
Yeah,
I'm talking
Baptist church.
That apostolic. Listen, you're going to wear your skirt down past your knee. You're not going to the movies. It's clear fingernail polish and clear lip gloss. Man. No earrings. Like, you see what I'm saying? Wow. So, I want to know their stories. And we didn't grow up hearing, like, I love you from Mom. She wasn't the hugger. That was Grandma. So when my grandmother would call down to college, and I was in a band in college, too, so we practiced from, 5 p.m. to 11 every day, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday's game time. Grandma called and said, well, baby, you weren't in your room at 8 o'clock p.m. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I'm like, Grandma, but I had to start telling her. I was like, Grandma, I said, love you. And she said, huh? Like that was a foreign concept. Mm-hmm. And so I made a decision within myself. I'm going to start saying, hey, love you. Like, I don't want our last communication. Anything can always happen to be where, it was just some random or miscellaneous concept. So now anytime, if it's anybody I love on the phone, love you before we get off.
That's tight.
It's that sort of thing.
That's
and so
good.
I had to teach my grandmother that. I had to teach my mom that. And yeah, it can be hard because I want the nurturing piece with my mom, but I realize I can't make her tell me her story. It's hers to tell or not, even to her own children. And I really firmly believe she's going through her own stuff. And I have to respect that and give her space and love her still the same. Yeah.
Dope. Some people thrive off of love. Some people thrive off of wisdom. But survival, like what does that consist of? You growing up and you saying you had you was raised off of survival. Like what is that?
That means you don't quit. That means when it gets hard, you still keep going. That means you find a way. That means you use everything you have to do the best you can. Yeah, I was sick at the age of 12, and just like I used to run track and play basketball, and just like between 7th and 8th grade, down to a wheelchair, just like slowly just breaking down. I was like, well, what's wrong? So 3 misdiagnoses, get in the hospital, for a week. I'm looking forward to going back to 8th grade because we're about to win the state championship in track. Like, that's where my mind was. And I was like, nope. I was like, why did this have to happen to me? So I'm in the hospital. My grandmother said, Grandma, why did this have to happen to me? Do you all know what she told my 12-year-old self? She said, why not you? There are some children who grow up and never have the opportunity to walk. So if you never walk again, because at this point I couldn't do anything on my own. She said, you've had 12 good years to walk. So like that kind of survival, or that kind of mentality, I'm reaching for, help me, nurture, pat me on the, you had 12 good years, so you're not going to complain. So that's what I mean by like survival.
I like that.
It was a beautiful blend. God knew and knows my heart and knows the DNA in here, so he knew that I need the nurturer. So I got that from other places.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think, that's beautiful. And I think you mentioned like God knows your DNA. And like when we do the work to understand ourselves, right? And then we start to understand our parents. We get to appreciate the things that we did get from them, right? Because we're understanding them, what their shortcomings were in their development.
Yeah.
And so I was still given everything I needed to get to where I'm at now.
Yes.
So then I have the grace for them.
Yeah.
But then I also can appreciate and thank God, like, man, I did have everything I needed.
Yeah.
Even though I wanted more,
Sure.
I thought I needed more.
Yep.
But you had it all there the whole time.
And I say this because recently I came to an appreciation of my stepfather. For years I was angry with him because I didn't get the love that I thought I needed from him. But he was hard. He was he passed, I was 15, he was 50, like in his 50s. My mother was in her 30s. So he was old school. And he was like hard.
Yep.
I saw my stepbrother like a couple years ago, and he was like, man, I'm sorry for Pops. He was always hard on us. And like I grew up kind of like just kind of hard, even with my family. That's just what I saw. Even my mom was a little hard with me because she had to like, she thought she needed to be a man too for me. So now she's being hard, my stepfather hard. So my first response is being hard with you. So now I have to learn to be loving.
Yeah.
So when I look back, I went to the beach recently, Salisbury Beach up in New Hampshire, Hampton Beach. I'm like, and I was talking to my friend. I'm like, yeah, I used to come to all these beaches when I was a kid. I used to go to the vineyard. And then it was like in a revelation, like, I had a good childhood. Like I had experiences that a lot of people didn't have because of my stepfather.
Yeah.
But I didn't suffer. I wasn't in, like I went through the system. Once he passed, we started going through, needing Section 8 housing and all that. And so, but as a child, the early development, I had a home.
Yeah.
I was able to be a kid and have friends and run around.
Yeah.
We didn't really struggle. We had the basic needs. So he was the man, right? He did everything he did to make sure that I knew how to be a man and that he was going to consistently. He taught me how to walk on the outside of the street if I'm walking with a woman, no matter who it is, like opening the door, like all of that stuff that's necessary.
Yep.
But I didn't get the nurturing from him because I was mad my father wasn't there, and I'm looking for it from him.
Yeah.
He's like, boy, get away from your mother.
Wasn't having that.
Yeah, like get up from under your mother. But like I see that now that I'm older, it's okay that it's that balance.
Yeah.
it's okay to be up on your mother, like, but not all day. Get up, go do something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the
It's a
balance
time
is
and place
necessary.
for everything, bro.
Right.
I like that, man. And you spoke on the grace, and the older we've gotten, you know, we're able to see our parents like, okay, they've been through some things. We see that grace, and you think about it, like the old school generation, they had to, you know, have that survival, strong mentality. You know, back in whatever it was, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s coming up, they had to have that mentality because of everything they had to deal with. Society was totally different, you know, so they had to have that, they had to come hard with it. They had to be thick-skinned, or they weren't going to make it. They weren't going to, they weren't going to make it at all. So, sis, a PK kid, pastor's kid.
We all know.
Yeah, man. So it's like I've heard so much about it. I'm a pastor kid myself. I've heard so much about us, you know. And you say you got it on both ends. Only my dad's a pastor, so I just got it on one end. But you got it from grandmother and your pops. So was there like any pressure as far as like performing and being a certain way, holding up a certain standard? Yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above.
So what was that like for you coming up as a kid? Or even as a teen, even now as an adult? What's that like?
Everything you just said is true for me. The expectations, the performance piece of it, you know, sing in the choir, do the praise dance, be an usher if they need you to, like all of those things. So after a while, it's like, okay, well, this is just what they're telling me to do this, so I have to do this. But then I would start to see things, and I'm like, oh, this is church, but it kind of doesn't look like church or what you think church is supposed to be, right? Yep. So I don't do fake well, and by that I mean I don't do fake. And so if you're presenting one thing or advertising one thing and delivering something else, like that's when I check all the way out.
Man, I'm about to run out of this studio.
But seriously, that's real. It's when I check out.
Like
and it's something in me, like I despise it across the board, whether it's work, whether it's church, whether it's just out. If you're advertising something, then deliver that. Don't I would much rather you tell me the truth and it be something that, you know, than to present something that's fake. And so for me, like I was like, whoa, this is happening in church. And so my sister, she refers to me as the black sheep of the family.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't mind speaking my mind, and I would speak out on things that I saw. She's more quiet when you first meet her. I'm social. I don't meet a whole lot of strangers. And so you know how that is. So you get kind of labeled when you're just loud or social.
True.
But you're overlooking the quiet one who's over there that you need to be giving some more attention to. It's like all of these things you just start to see. And that too, people are looking at me well, Tammy will lead the choir. She'll direct. She'll do this. And then my sister is over there getting her entire life while I'm over here having to be responsible. And we're only 16 months apart.
Yeah.
So.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
That's wild. Yeah. So what was your outlook on the church when you started seeing things? You're like, okay, this ain't right. What was your outlook after that?
I didn't want any part of it after a while. And even still now, like I've because of how I was raised, I felt like, okay, Tammy, you always need to be in church. And I've lived a lot of different places. Like I'm from Columbus, Ohio, went to Virginia for school, then came to Boston, lived in Mississippi, went over to the Middle East and Dubai to teach. And so I've been a lot of places. I'm like, oh, I got to find a church. I got to find a church. I got to find a church because that's what's programmed in me.
Right.
Now, it's going to take the Lord himself to come down to get me on another roster.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So I'll just leave it there for now.
You're good with me, man. So you're all about, you're focused on the relationship.
Yes. And from a young age, and I'm thankful for the DNA and the heart that he's given me. From a young age, without anybody having to tell me, it was just there. And I'm grateful for that. Like my mother, she sings, she has a beautiful voice. I remember hearing her sing in church. I couldn't have been 5 years old. And I just started crying because it was so pretty. And so my family said, what's wrong? I was like, nothing. It's just pretty. Like in my little mind, I'm like, that's beautiful, but I'm getting full on the inside, and I couldn't articulate that at the moment. I also remember, like, you know, the helium balloons or whatever. And I'm a writer, as you all see. So I wrote a little note to God or whatever, and I taped it on there, and I was going to just let it go, because in my little brain, that's how I'm going to get a message to God.
Nice.
It's going to go way up there. He's going to get it. And my uncle came and was like, well, he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm writing a letter to God. You know, I'm about to send it up, you know, let this balloon go. And it's going. He said, well, you know, he's looking at it. You busted my bubble, right? Can you just let me believe that? So I definitely am focused on relationship. Yeah, it's huge for me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
When did you? Okay, I guess it's like a two-part question, because I've dealt with like similar like upbringing, like being in the church and having to live a certain way, and you like compartmentalize your life. Like you're a certain way in church, and then you're a certain way in this environment, certain way in that environment, because you know you have to play that presentation until you kind of come to like a revelation of yourself. You just get good with yourself, and then you're just going to be good with you in all those environments.
Yes.
What was that like? How did that impact you? Having like compartmentalize yourself, and then when did you come to that self-realization?
It was hard. It was hard because my heart, I would venture to say, was always in the right place, because I want to please God and everything, and I'm such a real person. It's like, well, I sometimes be like, Lord, forgive me for what I'm about to do, right? Like after you grow up and start praying, like I know I'm about to go and just do something I don't have any business doing, but like that, like when I was a teenager, that's when it started compartmentalizing some things. And then when I got to college, it was kind of curtains in college. I did what I wanted to do. But even in college, I'm just being honest.
You're good, do your thing.
Even in college, I was a part of a ministry there. So, you know, you're seeing, and like, you know, you meet people from all over the place. And so like you guys are now going to college together or going to church together. And then you know what college life is like. But because of I will venture to say, the purpose that God has placed on my life, you can really only go so far. You really, really can. It's like, well, you think you about to go and do this and that. Sis, reel it on back in. Reel it right back in. And it has happened for a long time.
Yeah.
Even when I try to stray way left, reel it back in. You're not going all the way left.
Yeah.
Because I put too much in there, and my word doesn't return void, so it's gonna come back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we thank God for His love. That's
Amen.
real.
And
right
His
there.
mercy and His grace.
It's like a dog leash.
Yep.
Yeah, or a rope, whatever. You can only go so far. There's only enough room, and everyone gets different, right? That different grace.
Yeah. We thankful for it. HBCU.
Yes, sir.
Man, I love it. What? I know we're asking you a lot of questions, and we haven't even went through the main. I know we ain't went through the main. We haven't ran through the main questions. But what was that like, man? What was college experience like? You know, being around, you know, people that look like you, think like you, act like you, same visions and stuff like that. What was that like?
You know what? Bringing it full circle, that's actually where my identity started forming for real. So of all the things that I was given growing up, and something that you said earlier, Benjamin, about identity, and I just lost my thought. Okay, so I'll just HBCU. I had a vision. When I would see the band, that's how I figured out that I wanted to go to a HBCU. Hampton is the college I went to, and they hugged me, right? They gave, that's where that nurturing came, because it's like we're all there. It's people who look like you, who have some of the same energy, some of the same. So that became family. I would do it all over again. I have zero regrets. I got a full ride scholarship to go to Ohio State and Capital University, and I turned them down. I had my vision. I want to do that. And so that's what I did, and I have zero regrets. There was a thought that I had, and I lost it.
You said identity, and you were thinking about the black college.
Yeah, it'll come back, because it was good. It was real good.
Yeah, we gotta.
Was
get
it
that.
about your experience in the HBCU?
Something like that. And Chris, you remember the question that you asked?
Yeah, just what was your overall experience at the HBCU, and then you spoke about the identity. And you was about to link them both.
There was a link. And there's that teacher brain that comes when it's so much that's in here, and you want to just circle it back.
Yeah, because the link is powerful.
Oh, yeah. It's the connection. It'll come back.
Yeah, it'll come back. We're going to get that before we end.
When I think about, I guess, to hopefully as we're talking, it'll come up. Mm-hmm. When I think about my first introduction to HBCU, I mean, most of it was movies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then my friend, I was maybe in my early 20s, he graduated from Morgan State. Mm-hmm. So we went down for his graduation. Mm-hmm. It was the most beautiful thing that it was like an idea. Yeah. It was, it was a movie, and then it was real life. Yeah. Just walking. It was just, that's what it's just the most beautiful thing.
It really is.
And seeing like all the black movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I grew up, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Spanish, but like the thing that always resonated with me the most was blackness.
Absolutely.
Like being black in the culture, like the community, the family, like the love. And so when I went to the HBCU, it was amazing. First, it was like all these beautiful women. It's crazy, because I grew up in the North, so it's like there's attractive women, but like you go to the South, and it's just a different, the I don't know, it's the water, the food. they generate them different in the South than they do up North. So anyway,
I'm married now, so I can't speak on that.
Anyway, no, so it was that, but then it was also just like, you go to the South and like brothers that like you see a group of them up North, we're not gonna talk. I now at this point I nod and I say what's up, respect. They usually show the same, but back then it was like what's the problem? Yeah, But when I went down there, it was like, what's going on? Yep. They're showing love. Yep. Everybody's just showing love at the school. Yeah, and it's like Chris, like obviously he's a Southern brother. He's just like that with everybody. Yep. So when it came to like the identity, that was something I always attached my idea of what family is like, what community is like. It's just those environments and how to create it. Yeah. Like it's great that I can just pick up, let me just move to the South and create it. But what happens up here? Yeah. Like how can we create it here?
Man,
those are my thoughts.
I thank God for that, bro, because that's one of the main reasons I feel like God brought me this way, to project that type of energy. You know what I mean? Like, we see each other, bro, I make eye contact. Hello, good morning, let's speak. I got that same vibe when I first moved up here, but slowly but surely, we seeing the change. When I think about HBCU, my first experience, like I said, watching the movies, School Days is the first one that come to mind,
Mine was Drumline.
School Days was mine, bro, and seeing that, I'm seeing black men interact with each other, doing their thing, parties, fellowship, all that good stuff. I'm like, that's dope. Like, I would really like to attend something like that. But the closest thing I came to it was one of my closest friends, Tanisha. She graduated from Spelman. And, just hearing how she talked about the school, what she learned, how it matured her. She grew, she identity. She grew up. She grew up quick when she went off to college, man. So just the overall experience as a black man or black woman, being in that environment, it does something to you, man. And even though I didn't step on campus, but hearing her stories, I connected up to that, like, dang, like I can visualize it. And so that just amped me up. So shout out to the HBCUs.
Absolutely.
Big time.
And it's kind of sort of coming back, but just to the identity piece, when you're looking at people who look like you and they are holding you to a standard, like the standard is excellence. Like that's our motto, the standard of excellence. And so like you lift up because that's what your environment calls for. You know what I mean? And so the band life, I learned so many life lessons there in resilience. I wanted to quit. So like I went to an HBCU to be in the band, right? And I get there and I went with my mother to go look at the campus. So okay, go meet the band director, da-da-da-da. He sends me back with 3 packets of music. This is March of 1997. He said, well, when you come back in the fall, you need to have all this memorized. I'm like, okay, because my instrument was the trumpet. I was like, okay, well, that's going to be a lot of music to memorize, like 75 songs, right? So I was like, Mom, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I don't want to be in the band anymore. I'll just go. Right, because it's gonna be hard. So like I was overwhelmed and I was just like, I was a little intimidated and insecure. Like, what if I don't? What if I don't? I said, so I'll skip band camp because it required me to be there 2 weeks early. And I said, I'll just go for, freshman orientation. True story. Skip band camp. The other freshmen are there 2 weeks in band camp. I get there for freshman orientation, all the way across campus, and I hear the drums. It's like, ta-dum, ta-dum, ta-dum. I said, Mom, can we go over there? And when I saw it, I said, I have to be a part of this. Like, this is the reason I'm here, or why I wanted to be here. Yeah. And so was there for a couple of weeks, still became too hard. And I was like, oh no, I went to my band director. I said, I'm going to quit. Had my uniform, took it back and everything. And I guess he had seen this before. It's like, I'm away from my family. I'm in Virginia. My family's in Ohio. I don't want to do this. I was nervous. I was just overwhelmed, didn't feel. And so he said, oh, baby, just all right, just sit here. And never looked back. Like, was in it for 4 years straight and did almost every position, was a part of every position that was there. And so, but when it talks about, like, when it comes to not quitting, when it comes to resilience, when it comes to being okay with discomfort, and you're in the middle of uncomfortability, and it's like, okay, so what are you gonna do? Just look at it. And I learned to put one foot in front of the other. I'm such a big picture person. Yeah. And I like to see the end from the beginning. It's like, okay, I wanted to look like this. So what are the steps to get there? And I had to learn to slow down and put one foot in front of the other. I met some of my best friends who became family there. But when you see yourself and everything around you says, okay, we love you. You're going to be all right. I understand you're having a hard time, but you're not going to quit. And if we need to hold your arms up to help you keep going, we will. That's HBCU life. We hold each other up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's family for real. That's what it sounds like. Yeah. For real. I like that, man.
Yeah, and it speaks to like like it's necessary for you to grow up in an environment that looks like you, but that's gonna like hold you accountable and make you better. And it goes kind of like to fathers, right?
Yeah.
That balance from your mom, whether, she's nurturing or not, but it's still something about the father holding that discipline in you and like pushing you. Yep. The boy falls and cuts his knee. He's okay. Get up. Not reacting. Like, okay. And then when it comes to, playing a sport and you realize how hard it is. And no, you started it, you're going to finish it.
Absolutely.
And like, I know I struggled with that.
Yeah, same, man. Yeah.
So to talk about like your experiences from like college and like those people that helped you, who are some of the people that influenced you the most in your life?
I definitely say mom and grandma. A mentor of mine who she's still a mentor. She's 75, 76. And I met her later on in life, like when I was in my 20s. And she's still there. From college, some of my line sisters, who just, that word accountability that you just used. Woo, it's you, they're not, like, failure is not an option. Like, yes, you fail and then you get back up, or you fail forward, as they say. You get back up, but it's like, okay, so Tammy Ann, you fell. So now what? One of my sisters, one of my best sister friends, her name's Rosalind. She lives in Texas. And to this day, if I pick up the phone and need her, she'll be on a plane, and vice versa with me. So I have very few people in my life but like that's where I got all of like that nurture from the years of 18 to 22. It's like, okay, so I do have so thank you, God. You're giving me what I need, even though I wanted it to look differently. I still got what I needed. So yeah, I'd say mom, grandma, mentor, and my sister Rosalind.
Sounds like a good recipe to me, man. Yeah. I love it. So, sister, what is, from your perspective, being, honest, you flow how you need to flow. What is manhood to you?
Okay. I'm going to just read what I wrote. So, manhood to me is standing on your square. It's respect and responsibility, being about its business and leading by example, being wise enough to know that you're not always right, and knowing that you don't have to be strong all the time, being vulnerable enough to share your weaknesses in challenges and finding spaces safe enough to do so and be, knowing that there is strength and freedom and vulnerability, understanding the necessity of brotherhood and the value of it, understanding the necessity and the value of mentorship and being teachable. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's real.
I love every bit of that.
Yeah.
Especially that part about you don't always have to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been there before, man. Just you can't cry, can't show no weakness, none of that. But yeah, it's okay because even in that strength. Yeah.
And that like connects to being teachable. The last one she said, like that. If I'm struggling or I'm not as strong, it goes to like iron sharpening iron. Like I talk to my brother, I'm like, yo, man, I'm, whatever it is, I'm struggling with this, whether it's lust or just being there for the family or stress or emotions, whatever. And then be like, oh, okay. And then they might pour something in you that you needed to hear or just allowed you to express yourself.
There you go.
Or even with your woman to be able to like overcome the fear of expressing it to her.
Yep.
Because she really wants to like nurture that party. And then once you do it, you get what you need, to keep you keep going.
Facts, man. It's good to talk It's good to talk it out.
Yeah.
And I know some men who they run from male accountability, and it's like, wow. So you'd rather talk to like a really good friend of mine. I said, well, who are the men in your life that you can go to? And well, no, like because he was raised by his mom, he's used to that, but that's also his comfort. And so he goes to his boys, but they're still like, who's your accountability? I mean, your boys are good, and that's cool. Yeah. But like, where is that? Who are you accountable to, other than yourself? And that's a real thing.
Man, I'm about to run out of this studio again. That wise counsel, absolutely, man. That's real.
Because it's hard, for me. Being that kid for a long time, like I didn't have welcoming relationships with men, and it was always women were like my grandmother, my mom I could talk to. So then when I got older, I would, it was like a distant relationship with men that would hold me accountable. My boys, we were cool. We didn't do everything together.
Yep.
Because it was easy.
Yep.
They're not gonna hold me accountable. We all doing the same thing. Yep. But like when it now comes to then being better or being a stronger man or what accountability pushes you forward.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, because it's hard, that's hard work that you have to do. The accountability requires you to do work, and you don't want to do it. And I know I didn't want to do it. So I stayed away from those relationships that really kind of would hold me accountable.
Yeah.
It requires us to look at ourselves and see those faults and see that weakness or whatever, whatever's going on with us, whatever's that's wrong. You want to think you want to think to yourself like, yo, I'm this perfect person, but you're really not. So when these things come up and someone's explaining and exposing them, it hurts. But it's tough love though. You need it, man. But yeah, that's the tough part. You got to look in the mirror and look at yourself like, I got to get right. I'm a little jacked up.
Because it's like everything, especially as men, like everything we want in life comes from hard work. Like even it goes to the Bible, it talks about like, I don't know the scripture like from word, but I paraphrase them like that you'll have to till the land. You're going to have to work. Everything you do is going to be work.
Yeah.
So nothing is going to come easy. You can have easy, but you're going to have a hard life. You're going to have, that's what I remember hearing that. You can have easy all you want, but you're going to have a hard life. But it's either two hards, right? You're going to either have a hard life or you're going to work hard.
Yeah.
Choose your hard. You choose your hard.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Dope. I love it, man.
With the notes, both of y'all be taking notes.
All day. I'll be jotting stuff down.
So I have a question. So when it comes to like manhood, and we talked about it, like what your experiences with men were like because of your father not being there and being what you needed from him.
I would say that. I would say so. Absolutely. I was reaching for what I didn't have. I was reaching for what I didn't know that I thought that I wanted and needed. And so if I do this, then they're going to do that. And I didn't know that until I grew up. There's so much stuff, like when you're doing, like you said something about doing the self-work earlier, then that's when you start like kind of seeing other people and understanding that we all have work to do. So, yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
One more thing about manhood. Now, he asked you a question about your pops. Now, when you got into college, you know, what about the brothers over there? Did they kind of like turn that, you know, that view as far as manhood? You know, you seeing brothers gather in fellowship and show love. Pretty sure you got love from the brothers too. Yeah.
You know what? That's where I found brothers, because I don't have any biological brothers. I have brothers now, and I met them in college. There are like 3 right now. If I ever had any issues with a man or with male things, or I need to run something by them, there are 3 who I can call that will be there in a heartbeat. So that's where I got brothers, but that's also where I learned some other really hard lessons.
That's life.
Yeah, it's life. And so now, college, you're chasing for what you want. You're chasing for what you think you need, how you think you need it. And so again, I'm chasing for what I didn't get from my dad. And you know, it's college, so you're going to get the attention, especially if you're putting it out there in a certain way. But then when it comes to the matter of the heart, which I'm such a heart person, it's like this what is this for? You know, like, why am I wasting my time for something that's not gonna? Yeah, so it's so many lessons that I learned, and I received brothers in college, and I also saw what not to do, or learned what not to do.
Life lessons.
Life lessons, exactly. Yeah.
Those stuff. Look, for those that are listening, y'all better catch these golden nuggets she's dropping, man. So how can the people reach you if they need to?
Wow. I will say, here's my email address. I'll do that. I'm social media, but not a whole lot for personal stuff. So tamarah.davis@gmail.com.
They spelled Tamarah.
And that is TAMARAH, don't forget the H, .davis@gmail.com.
So, last but not least, right? Who are you? I know we kind of talked about a little bit in the beginning, but like, how would you define who you are?
Man, I am a complex simplicity. But again, I'll read what I wrote. I'm a woman who loves God and is very clear on her relationship and connection to Him, to and with Him. I'm a lover, one who loves and loves love. I love people. I'm one who cares about people and how they're really, really, really doing. I'm into the core and self-care and just really not just what you present. I'm also an empath. It can be considered a blessing and a curse. I feel very, very, very deeply. I feel, sense, discern deeply, sometimes, you know, to a point beyond words that I can't describe what the feeling is, but I just feel it. Sometimes it feels like the weight of the world is on my shoulders, but that's part of it. I'm a teacher. I'm teachable. I'm also a student. I'm a lover of learning. I'm a lover of truth. I'm a lover of music. It's a universal language that can be spoken, especially when there are no words. I am a constant work in progress. I'm resilient. I'm a woman, a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a friend. And I'm one who values honesty and values keeping your word.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I lied. That last but not least, I didn't lie, but the question came to my head.
Yeah.
In the final few minutes. But what would you say to young girls that didn't have their fathers?
Ooh, it's what I'm saying to the ones I work with now. You are enough just as you are. Period. You're enough. That's what I would say to them. And I think we learn that every day. I think there are a lot of grown women who are struggling with and learning that we're already enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, see, when you do stuff like that, now you be getting my mind going. I got a question too. Now,
Okay.
What would you say to young men with their fathers are absent?
Yeah, that's big.
You are enough. I would. That
like
balance.
I like
You're enough, sir.
I like
Young sir. Yep.
Yeah, that's big because it took me until I was 29, 30 to hear it from a man. My uncle told me, I was struggling. No, maybe what am I, 33? I was 31. Yes. Anyway. Right, early 30s. That's what happens when you get old. You start forgetting.
Yeah, you good, bro.
No, but it was like, I was talking to him, and I was struggling, like, relationships, dating. Like, I was in the valley, and I'm talking to him about it and the struggle. And him, from being on the outside in, and start talking to me. Like, you're enough. Yeah. You're man enough. And all the things that I always struggled with.
Yes.
He was like, you're man enough. You're good enough. You're strong enough. Like, all the person you want to be, you're already that person. Yes. And you don't see it.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it goes back to like the speaking life and the power that men have when they speak. And I was like fueled with like,
yeah,
I was like,
amped. Yo,
yeah,
you ready,
I was like supercharged, right?
Yeah.
Like a Super Saiyan in the comics. But like it, hearing that you're enough from a man or just anyone that you're enough, but like really, even Ant, we had Ant, a friend of ours on, he talked about, we were like, who are you? And he said, I'm enough. And then that was it.
Yeah.
And that was fullness.
Yes.
When I heard it, I was like, I felt that.
Yep.
Because it's powerful to know that you are enough. And you don't need it from anyone else.
Yep.
Yeah,
you don't need the success that the world is telling you. You don't need $1 million because everybody want to be a millionaire now.
Exactly, man.
So now you're worried about, you need to be to be good enough. No. If you can just provide and be there, like you were saying earlier, just be in there.
Time.
Yeah.
In time. Consistency. Love.
Yep.
That's enough.
Yep. So there's millionaires who have their millions and they're not happy.
You did it. That's it.
They're not happy. So I was listening to an interview with Will Smith today, and he was like, he's starting to work on himself because he said it's never going to be quote unquote enough when you're looking for, it's never going to be enough money. It's never going to be enough this. It's never going to be enough that if you're not okay on the inside.
Facts.
And so, that's huge. Yeah.
You have any parting words?
One of my favorite quotes by Arthur Ashe. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. That's it.
That's it.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the Follow Then Lead podcast. You can reach us on social media at
the email is followthenleadinc@gmail.com, Instagram Follow Then Lead Podcast, and our Twitter is Follow Then Lead P. Until next time,
take it easy.